So we'll start with some breakfast ideas, and I really love just a simple French toast because kids get some whole wheat bread, eggs, a little bit of milk, and it's super healthy, and the honey on it really masks any sort of eggs in it if your kids don't like eggs. So I'm going to be making two. So I start out with just cracking 2 eggs, and I whisk it. And you can either add some vanilla extract or cinnamon, and I like to add both. So I was out of cinnamon this morning, so I just added some vanilla and a splash of milk. And I think I would normally use Homo milk or heavy cream because I want them to be nice and chubby, chubby kids, but I didn't have that either. So, and I just kind of let the first bread soak up some of the eggs on both sides of the bread. And I've got my pan ready, and I put the bread on there when the pan is already warm, and that kind of helps it make a nice distributed cooked on both sides. So I just basically flip to see if it's ready to be flipped, and yes it is. Kind of a light brown color is what we're looking for, and I added some honey and some berries, and my kids just absolutely love it, and this is my son devouring it. It's probably his favorite meal, to be honest, is a simple French toast with some berries. Next up is lunch, and it's going to be a yummy pizza. And so that is basically 1 cup of warm water and 1 envelope of rapid rising yeast, and I let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes. And once all the yeast kind of rises, you know it's ready, kind of bubbles up a little bit. My dry ingredients consist of 2 3/4 cups of whole wheat flour, a pinch of salt, as well as 1 tablespoon of oil, 1 tablespoon of honey to my ingredients. And I basically kind of start out by mixing it with the whisk, and I work my way to my hands. And once it kind of all comes together, I powder my surface with some whole wheat flour. And I always start by stretching the dough with my hands. It's just a lot easier to roll the dough once it's of a certain size. It's less work, and it's kind of easier to make a nice circle if you start off like that. So I'm just trimming off the excess, and for the crust I like to kind of fold the sides in. It kind of makes a really beautiful design as opposed to the typical just tuck it in. So I'm just kind of folding about 1 inch in, and then I kind of would do another inch, and I go all the way around until it kind of actually looks like a bit of a braid. It's really pretty. And the seasoning I use for the pizza dough itself is a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of basil, and a little bit of garlic powder. And as I sprinkle it onto the dough, I kind of massage it right into the dough so that flavor really gets deep into the dough. And so when you take a bite of the pizza, the flavor is not only on the top, but it's also within the crust and the dough itself. So for toppings, my kids like onions, mushrooms, and a bell pepper. So it's a really simple pizza. I find if you just stick to what your kids like, it gets really masked in the pizza flavor. So you can technically sneak some other veggies in, but I'm not going to risk it because I don't want to risk them not eating it. Then I'm going to eat an entire pizza to myself, and that's not good for anybody. So I just kind of stick to what I know they like. So I'm also going to be adding barbecue chicken to the pizza. I always add a protein for the kids especially. So I'm just cutting up the chicken. And with this chicken, I'll salt it. I put some pepper on it in the pan. And then also in the pan, I pour about 2 tablespoons of hickory barbecue sauce. And it works out great. So I've got my toppings, my pizza sauce, and my chicken, as well as the cheese. So before I start layering the pizza, I always add some cheese to the very bottom. And that helps the ingredients, the toppings, and everything stick together so you don't have the toppings flying off the pizza. It's like a glue in a sense. And my pizza sauce, all I have is there tomato sauce, oregano, basil, salt, pepper, and garlic powder. And sometimes I'll chop some garlic in there as well. And those are the same seasonings I'm adding to the pizza sauce itself. So it's a very flavorful, delicious pizza. So I've got the cheese, the sauce, some seasoning, and then after that, I'm going to add some more cheese to the top of the pizza, and then I'll start kind of randomly placing the toppings all over it, and I'll always end with some cheese and some chicken. So that's the finished pizza. It's very delicious. Honestly, it takes about 20 minutes or less in the oven and it's ready to go. The crust is cooked and everything is melted and it's delicious. Next up is dinner. So we will be making a chicken pesto pasta and arugula, basil, Parmesan cheese, salt, pepper, oil, and garlic. And so I'm just boiling some spaghetti noodles. And so it's my son, he's adding some arugula to my food processor. And to the arugula, we also add some basil, fresh basil. And we are adding some garlic, freshly chopped garlic, and lots of oil. And this is just the most delicious, quick dinner and healthy for the kids. I also include some chicken in this as the protein. So my son's just adding some salt and pepper, and I'm just adding some more oil because I always need more oil in the end. And I've just got my food processor. I'm grinding, and when it kind of looks like that, where it's not budging, you know you need more oil added to it. When it's all done, I always kind of take a little taste of it to ensure it's that garlicky, yummy, melts in your mouth, delicious pesto. So you just kind of pour it out and you're going to get it ready for your chicken part. So I've got a pan of chicken and I add salt, pepper, and garlic powder and a bit of that pesto. And you let it simmer and you mix it all together. And if you find that the chicken's looking a little bit naked, you add some more pesto to it. Now you add the spaghetti noodles. I actually would recommend using bow tie noodles or those macaroni noodles for kids. It's easier for them to pick up. So it's all done. You can add more pesto or Parmesan cheese and it's yummy, yummy, delicious. Melt in your mouth, delicious. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I add weekly videos, and hit the little bell so you get reminders of my weekly videos, and like this video if you like it, and subscribe and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.